Imagine walking into a scene that feels ripped straight from a startling dream, a bizarre, twisted version of your own life, playing out without your knowledge or consent. This isn't fiction. This is the story of how I walked into my own home, found an engagement party for my ex-girlfriend and my brother, and made it dissolve in exactly 9 minutes. My name is Alex, or at least, that's what we'll call me for this story. I was living a pretty standard life, working hard, saving up. I had a decent relationship with my family, or so I thought. My younger brother Mark was always a bit of a golden child. Charming, a little reckless, but generally harmless. And then there was Alyssa, my ex-girlfriend. We'd been together for years since high school, and I honestly thought she was the one until she wasn't. The breakup was messy, as they often are, but I thought we'd move past the worst of it. We hadn't spoken in months. I was out of town for a work conference, a big one, which meant I'd been gone for about a week. I'd left my work laptop at home, which was a rookie mistake, but I figured I'd just grab it when I got back. The conference wrapped up earlier than expected, so I decided to head straight home. I didn't tell anyone I was coming back early, figured I'd surprise them. Little did I know the surprise was on me. As I pulled up to my house, I immediately knew something was unusual. There were cars everywhere, cars I didn't recognize, lining the street, spilling into the driveway. Music was blasting, laughter echoing. My first thought was, did I forget someone's birthday? Is this a surprise party for me? The thought was quickly replaced by a growing sense of unease. This wasn't the usual family gathering vibe. This was bigger, a lot bigger. I walked through the open front door and the scene hit me. The living room, dining room, even parts of the kitchen were packed with people. Strangers loud, happy strangers. And right in the middle of it all, under a glittery banner that screamed, "She said yes!" stood my younger brother Mark on one knee, holding a ring. And across from him, crying tears of joy, was Alyssa, my ex-girlfriend. My jaw must have been on the floor. My mind raced, trying to process what I was seeing. My brother and my ex and getting engaged. In my house, without a single word to me. The music, the laughter, the sheer audacity of it all felt like a personal assault. I stood there frozen, a phantom observer in my own life. Then my mother spotted me. She walked over, a casual smirk on her face as if this was all perfectly normal. "Oh, Alex, you're back early. We didn't tell you, didn't want any drama." She said it so nonchalantly, as if withholding this monumental life event from me in my own home was a minor courtesy. Before I could even formulate a coherent thought, she leaned in conspiratorially, lowering her voice just slightly, but still loud enough for a few nearby guests to hear. "We used your name for the loan, by the way. For the party, it's just $17,000. Be happy for them." The words hit me harder than the sight of them together. $17,000, my name? A loan I knew nothing about. The audacity. The sheer, unadulterated, manipulative audacity. My own mother, casually admitting to financial fraud, all to fund an engagement party for my brother and my ex-girlfriend in my house without my knowledge. And then demanding I be happy. A cold, quiet rage began to form within me. It wasn't the kind of rage that explodes in shouting and confrontation. It was the kind that makes you still, sharpens your focus, and makes you dangerously calm. The kind that makes you realize you're dealing with people who have no respect for you, no boundaries, and no conscience when it comes to their own desires. I looked at my mother, her smirk still in place. I looked at Mark and Alyssa, bathed in the celebratory glow, completely oblivious to the unfolding crisis. I said nothing, not a word. I just turned and walked past her, through the crowd of strangers, towards the stairs. I could feel her eyes on my back, probably confused by my lack of reaction. Good, let them be confused. I walked upstairs to my office. My work laptop was exactly where I left it. I sat down, opened it, and logged in. My hands were steady, my mind was clear. This wasn't about anger anymore. This was about a calculated surgical strike. This was about showing them the true cost of their betrayal. I opened a specific folder, a folder I had created months ago, filled with documents and evidence. Evidence of Mark's past financial misdeeds, a few bounce checks, a small unpaid debt to a local business, some questionable tax filings from a side gig he'd had. Nothing major enough to ruin him, but enough to cause serious problems if exposed. And then there was Alyssa. I had a few screenshots, old messages, and a couple of photos that, while not explicitly incriminating, would certainly paint her in a very unflattering light if seen by the wrong people, particularly her very conservative, very judgmental family, who were also present at the party. I also had the documentation of the loan my mother had just mentioned. I had been pre-approved for a significant personal loan a few months back, and while I hadn't taken it, the pre-approval letter, with my name and details, was easily accessible. It seemed my mother had taken that pre-approval and somehow, through some fraudulent means, used it to secure the $17,000. That was a federal crime. My fingers flew across the keyboard. I wasn't just sending emails. I was sending a carefully constructed, multi-pronged attack. Nothing directly accusatory, just enough information to make them question everything. Second, to a few key individuals I knew were close to Alyssa's conservative family. A more direct, but still deniable, set of screenshots and messages that would raise serious questions about her character. Third, and most importantly, to the bank's fraud department. A detailed report of the unauthorized loan taken out in my name, attaching the pre-approval letter and a clear statement that I had not authorized it. I knew this would trigger an immediate investigation. I double-checked everything, the recipients, the attachments, the timing. Then with a deep breath, I hit send. 9 minutes, that's all it took. Within moments, I heard the first murmurs downstairs. A phone ringing, a gasp. Then another and another. The music didn't stop immediately, but the laughter did. It was replaced by a growing hum of confused whispers, then shocked exclamations. I walked back downstairs slowly. The scene had transformed instantly. People were checking their phones, their faces morphing from celebratory joy to disbelief, then anger. Alyssa's conservative aunt was staring at her with wide, horrified eyes. Mark was frantically talking on his phone, his face pale. My mother was trying to shush people, her smirk gone, replaced by a look of dawning panic. Someone pointed at me. "He's here! He knows!" The party rapidly dispersed. Guests started grabbing their coats, muttering apologies to no one in particular, making hurried exits. The music suddenly cut out. Within 9 minutes of me hitting send, the house was deserted. "The glittery, she said yes!" Banner hung limply over a silent, empty living room. My mother, Mark, and Alyssa were left standing in the wreckage, staring at me. Their faces were a mixture of rage, confusion, and utter devastation. I just looked at them, a quiet sense of peace settling over me. I hadn't raised my voice. I hadn't made a scene. I had simply pulled the strings of truth and watched their carefully constructed deception unravel. What followed was a calculated, cold reckoning. Relationships were ruined, reputations shattered, and the family dynamics I thought I knew were irrevocably broken. But for me, in the silence of that empty house, there was finally something unexpected. Peace.
If you were as shocked by this story as I was, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to Story Shock. We dive into unbelievable true stories, shocking revelations, and astonishing events that will make you question everything. Don't miss our next video. Turn on notifications so you're the first to know when a new story drops.